What's going down, everyone? Good afternoon. Let's try something crazy today. I've never done anything like this ever. So today is going to be a more hands-on tutorial, and I haven't done one of those in a while. Even when I do the beat making streams, those are tutorials. This is a little more serious than that, I think. I'm gonna need some help though today from all of you, because I'm going to be using three broadcasting devices simultaneously. I tested them last night. Actually, one of my turntables exploded. I'll talk about that later, maybe. But I'm using my DJ setup to broadcast. I'm using my regular studio setup to talk to you right now. And then I'm going to switch also to my phone so that I can be over there with the DJ setup, but still speaking to you. So yeah, if anything weird happens, because it's going to be three separate independent sound sources, and you know how that can get, especially with live streams. If there's an echo, if I'm muted, thank you, Grandtastic, or if there are any other weird audio dropouts, um, please let me know so I can fix it right away. Yes, sir. What's going to shout out to Brazil and Scotland? Dang. Stay golden. Yeah, see, so this is the attitude that I like to see. So I do truly believe that transitioning between the two, at least from producer to DJ, not necessarily DJ to producer, but producer to DJ, is not a difficult one. So G Life says he used virtual DJ and Serato. Yeah, I'm gonna be using Serato today. That's pretty much the standard for DJing. Now, I'm just gonna talk about the basics of mixing. I'm not gonna get too crazy, but I do want to show you at least kind of the anatomy of a mixer. And you're gonna find that this is all really, really similar to what we do on a day-to-day basis when we make beats. Very similar. So the basics of mixing in the sense of DJ mixing, not audio engineer mixing, are not at all foreign to anybody that's made some halfway decent beats. And we've who was I talking to? I don't know, pretty much any producer that I've interviewed has talked about adding value and wearing more than one hat. And therefore, this whole DJing thing, I know plenty of producers who ended up taking on the DJ role when they were producing for musicians, working on projects, because that's the reason I started DJing. I started DJing because I was making beats for artists. Also, I wanted to DJ; it looked fun, but the main incentive was I was making beats for artists, and I was watching them go on stage and perform and get all the love and have all the fun. I'm like, nah, man, I can't just be here in the crowd watching. I need to take a more active role in this in the performance of the music that I helped create. So I started DJing, and so I'm looking at it from an entirely different standpoint, I think, than most people who are trying to teach. Appreciate that. Who are trying to teach the concepts of DJing. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to boil it down to one easy concept. I truly believe that all you need to know to transition from producing to DJing on a basic level is just this one concept, which is time signature. And let's be real. Oh, shout out to John. Let's be real. Virtually all of the beats that we make and all of the songs that we listen to, all the popular contemporary hip hop, R&B, and pop, it's all pretty much in 4/4 time, and so that makes things easy, or at least straightforward to us. 4/4 time, aka standard time. It's a reason it's called standard time. It's everywhere. That means each measure of our beat or our song has 4 quarter notes, right? So hopefully we know this. I'll ease us into this in case it's just one of those things that we know intuitively, but we don't know in a more obvious sense. So the other thing that's a part of understanding the time signature is at the very first beat. So if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4 in a beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, that first beat is called the downbeat of the measure. And really, that's all the background that you need to know, honestly. So let's get into it. Rather than just jump onto the turntables, though, I want to take a different approach just to start. I want to show you what this looks like in a DAW, because that's what we're familiar with. It'll make a lot of sense, and then we'll jump to the turntables and to Serato. But I'm going to start with just my DAW, which is going to look like everything else. And you can actually, practice in your DAW, honestly. So let me bring that up. Cool, everyone. I just want to make sure everyone can hear this sound. Can everyone hear that drum loop? BeatStars says yes. I need more confirmation than that. Dang, the chat is extra quiet today when I ask for help identifying whether or not the sound is working. Okay, cool. All right, thanks, guys. So back to sharing my screen. All right. So I have beats loaded up because I was like, I'm gonna mix some actual songs, but then I realized copyright, can't do that. So these are just beats that I made. So I'm gonna start with this track, and as you can see, it's labeled 72 beats per minute. I know it's 72, so I set my project tempo to 72. It's on my store. It's Cardi B type beat. And already I can just turn the metronome on and we can listen to the counts of the beats. So you're hearing that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Damn near anything and everything involving sequencing with our beats works on multiples of 4. 4-bar or 8-bar intro, 16-bar verse, 12-bar verse, 8-bar chorus. 4 is a factor of 8. Math terms. All of these numbers can be broken down by 4. And 4 time, 4 counts in a measure. 4 is just the magic number for DJing and for everything I'm about to show you today. So as I said, we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4. The first beat, that 1, that's the downbeat. So the downbeat is important. When you see DJs doing this all the time and you don't hear any sound, you just see them doing that. I get people asking me all the time, why are DJs always doing this? I'll show you why. It has to do with the downbeat. We're just ready to drop the downbeat. That's all it is. And you can get creative when you're more comfortable with time. You don't always have to jump. You don't always have to drop on the downbeat. You can drop on whatever beat you want, as long as you're aware of how the two tracks interact. So here we are. Now I have another beat here that is also 72 beats per minute, which means these are the exact same tempo, right? So when this beat drops, actually, when you convert to MP3, there's like a little sample time added at the beginning. So I have to make sure they're perfect. So I have these two tracks. Here's one that's at 72 as well. Very different sounding beat, but let's overlap them. Let's see what happens when I just, as you can see, here's the downbeat, but this is the intro section. So I'm going to put the intro section, I'm going to overlap it with my other beat. And this is the hook or verse section. Let's hear how this transition sounds. Won't sound great, but because they're the same tempo, it should sound at least smooth. So that was a pretty smooth transition. And it has to do with the fact that these two beats are, one, they're in the same time signature, but that's a given. But two, they're the same tempo. Now we can do more with the transition. So for example, if I want them to overlap more, I could just add something basic like a volume fade here. Then it'll be more gradual. So that sounds way smoother now because we have the volume fade. We can make it even smoother if, say, we automate something like the EQ, and we could automate, let's do like a low pass, no, a high pass, a low cut. So I could automate the low frequencies here by doing this, by just moving the, oh, not the frequency, wrong parameter. Somebody should have told me I was making a mistake. Gain. Yeah, so I can automate that. So that way, as this beat is fading out and this beat is coming in, we're gonna hear the low frequencies gradually drop out. And I'm gonna fade this new beat in so it's more gradual. We're gonna get a way smoother transition now. Because now there's no fighting. The frequencies aren't going to fight with each other. Right? This makes sense to us because this is production. This doesn't feel like DJing, but what I'm doing is mixing. These same concepts, this is how DJs mix. We're just doing it live rather than in a DAW. Now, things are going to get more complicated when we throw reality into the picture, because as we know, not every song is the same tempo. We don't want songs to all be the same tempo. That would be really boring. It would be easy to DJ. But let's say we have this track here. This is 70. Now, what do we do if we want to blend a track that's 72 beats per minute in with a track that's 70 beats per minute? If we overlap them, it's going to sound crazy. There's that pause. Some DJs do this. I don't know why. It sounds terrible. Hopefully, I'm not going to teach you how to crash mix. It's called crash mixing because it literally sounds like a car crash. So there are a lot of things we could do. There's a cheap way. I don't recommend doing this because you can't always get away with it. But we could do a quick mix where we just say, all right, I'm just going to pull this downbeat right up to the end of this track. So it's going to sound like, even though they're different tempos, at least the downbeat is coming in at the right time. At least the downbeat is coming in 1, 2, 3, 4, drop 1, 2, 3, 4, you know? So you can do that live. A lot of DJs do that. If you're struggling to mix two tracks, you just want to do something really quick, or maybe the track is weird, there's no intro, sometimes you just have to do this, and that's fine. And it'll actually sound good. Right, so that didn't sound terrible, but we want it to be smoother than that. So as producers, what are ways that we can get one track that's faster than the other to, hot drop. That's some people call it a hot drop. So that's what I just showed you. The other option, the better option, the smoother option is, and Remedy Born says effects, that too. And you can do all of this stuff live. That's just a little more advanced. I'm trying to teach you the basics here, so you have a strong foundation. But yeah, you can do all that stuff. I think the right answer is change the tempo, because we want to bring 72 down to 70, or we want to bring 70 up to 72. Now in a DAW, we can just time stretch, right? There are other ways. Obviously, we can, change the pitch of this 70 so that it's a little faster, and just kind of pray that it works out for us. And as you can see, when we zoom in, it's not really going to work out, but we can try. So we could just kind of chop and nudge, and DJs nudge all the time. We don't want to have to do it, but if you're mixing records, like all mix old school stuff, like non-hip hop stuff that wasn't recorded to a click track, like 70s records, they weren't really doing too many click tracks back then. So you have to nudge. You might have to do this, and then we fade out. So we can't really chop a record live. We can nudge it live. This is where things are different. The concept is the same. The basic concept is we want to match two tracks to the same tempo. That's all we want to do. We just want a tempo match. We want a beat match. We want to blend. That's what mixing is. We want to blend. Things that don't mix don't sound well, so they're not well mixed. So mixing is about blending things, and everything sounds good. So that's what we want to do live. The good news is it's way easier because of the anatomy of a turntable. And now here's where things are going to get tricky, because I'm going to try to transition over to yet another broadcasting platform. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to mute myself here as I enter my alter ego. This is so weird. There are going to be so many. All right. Here I am, and I believe you can see and hear me, right? Tell me if you can. Everything good? Yes? I need confirmation here. I'm paranoid. Technology has me very paranoid. So I'm going to move over here to my DJ setup. Actually, before I do that, is my volume okay the way I am standing away from the phone? Is that good? If it's not, let me know. But I also have to turn on my DJ screen. So here's my DJ program. I'm going to use the same beats too. So it's going to make a lot more sense once I start doing that. Now, what I want to actually, we're not going to get into that just yet. Check this out. What I'm going to do first is show you the anatomy of the turntable. So how I was talking about tempo matching, and how I said it was easier on a turntable to do it live because you don't have to chop or anything. So that's what this is. We have the pitch time faders, or knob, whatever it is. So each one of these tends to be, unless you mess with the pitch range, and especially on a traditional analog turntable, each one of these notches is like around basically 1 BPM, and you'll figure it out once you work more on whatever turntable you're using. So let's say I'm back to wanting to mix those two different records. I'm gonna utilize that, and that's gonna be way easier than you know, having to pitch and this and that. Not going to have to chop. I'm not going to have to do anything. I'm just going to use that dial, and then I'm going to use my ears and my eyes to see that my two tracks are synced up. That's also the beauty of digital, whereas when we were using just turntables, completely analog records, there wasn't that visual element. So I'm going to turn the visual element back on. And I'm one of those visual people. I use a visual DAW. I think a lot of us do. Logic, Ableton, all visual. So let me go back to the first track, right? And hopefully you can see my hands here. Again, the turntable that's supposed to be here did actually explode last night. I'm going to do it with one that's fine, because you can see that there are two turntables. One is just virtual. Oh, my audio. My God. Hold on. I need you to let me know if my audio is coming through. Let me know in the chat if that audio worked. Okay, I know what happened. Now let me know if it's working. Okay, now it's quiet. Let me know if it's any better. Huh, okay. Yeah, right now it is coming out of headphones, and I'm actually clipping in my sound card. Hold on. I knew something weird was gonna go down. Is this any better? Let's see. Is it still pretty bad? Still pretty low, I mean. Yeah, it's showing that it's showing that the audio is coming in through StreamYard. Still the same. All right. I guess I'm just gonna have to turn my speakers on and nah, we can't do the headphones. That's too crazy. Well, my voice is on my Let's see. Check, check. Okay. Yeah, it's weird because my voice isn't coming in. Oh, okay, okay. Duh, I did something really ignorant. Hold on. Okay. Can you hear my voice still all right? We got it. I knew I was gonna. It was literally one little click that I forgot to make. Cool. So we're good. All right. I'm just gonna have to look like a weirdo and wear 2 sets of headphones at the same time. This is gonna be fun. I'm just here to make myself look ridiculous for the greater good of the producer community. So okay, cool. So this is what I'm talking about when the DJs are always doing this. It's because we can visually see right where my that white line is, right there. That's the downbeat. That's the downbeat of the track. So that's where I always want to drop it because I know it's the first count out of 4. So what I can literally do is just count. I'm going to play it on the right turntable. Oops. Turn my damn filter off. So I have to be counting that whole time to make sure that I know when the downbeat comes in. So check this out. We'll do it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Anytime I hit that 1, I can drop this new one in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can just keep doing that and doing that because it's going to make sense in terms of the time signature. If I were to do anything else, if I were to do it on an off count, it would sound like a mess. So if I'm not even counting and I just... That's terrible. I'm going to get fired from the club, hopefully, if it's a decent place. I don't know what kind of clubs people go to. So yeah, we want to make sure that everything works. And so I'm going to show you again how to do this live with 2 different tracks. Same tempo, 2 different tracks. Now, remember I showed EQ and everything, right? Hopefully you can see the anatomy of the mixer is something that should be, matter of fact, I'm gonna go straight to my camera here so you can get a close up. The anatomy of the mixer is so similar to in a DAW because 1, we know what volume faders are. So this is the left turntable. Whatever's playing on the left turntable, I'm controlling the volume. Whatever's playing on the right turntable, I'm controlling the volume. This is a horizontal fader. Same concept, but when it comes to scratching, this gets a little different, and I'll explain that at some point. But again, left, right, they're just channel strips. Low, mid, high. We have an EQ here. We have a gain here. We have effects. We have filters. We have panning. So remember how I showed you in the DAW version of the mixing demo. If this turntable is playing and all of my EQ knobs are set to 12 o'clock and I'm getting the full range of frequencies, then maybe I want to start in by when I start playing this, the volume's going to be lower. I'm going to gradually fade in, and maybe I'm going to also be gradually EQing this one in as I'm gradually EQing and fading this one out. It sounds like you're doing a lot at once, but it's you get used to it. It's not that crazy. We can do a lot of stuff at once. Producers especially, we're superheroes. Villains. Hopefully I'm somewhere in the middle at least. So back to the turntable. This is Serato. This is the program that we all pretty much use. Some DJs use other stuff, but most DJs use this. Yeah, someone said EQing so tracks aren't competing for space. It's the same. This is why I say producers know how to do that when we're making beats. We're EQing lows out of our samples. We're EQing lows out of our keys. We're EQing lows out of vocals, right? We're doing the same thing here. We're just trying to blend two different tracks together so they sound better. Now, I'm going to go the easy route here. I'm going to mix that one in with the other one. They're the same tempo. This shouldn't be hard. But I'm going to be counting 1, 2, 3, and 4 in my head. And I'm going to know that probably after, I know that the intro's 4 measures, so I'm going to want to count 4 measures before I drop that intro in. This starts to become kind of instinctual. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to use effects on the right to transition out. So that was a smooth transition, and that was easy because the two tracks that I blended in are already the same tempo. Now, of course, the challenge is what do you do when we're mixing 2 tracks with a different tempo? So on this side I have 72, on this side I have 70. That means this 70 either has to go up to 72 or 72 is going to go down. Well, 72 is playing first, so I'm going to go up. I'm going to adjust this accordingly. I'm going to adjust that 2 notches, and we're going to see if that works. And as you can see, this is digital. It just makes it easier. It's telling you what the new tempo is. So it's telling you it's 72.3. I can kind of nudge it down to 72. Even if that's not there, and it used to not be there, you know, some mixers used to have a BPM counter, but they weren't that accurate. You're using your ears, you're using your brain, you're using your instincts as a music maker to tell if something's off, and if it's off, your brain gets trained to tell whether it's too fast or too slow. You figure it out. So you can't hear what's happening on the left because I'm not opening the horizontal fader yet, the crossfader. So that works, and that was easy. I just mixed 2 tracks in with one another, and these are concepts that I'm sure aren't foreign to you because all I had to do was change the pitch of the 70 BPM track up a little, up by 2 beats per minute, and it blended in with the 72, or with this. Sorry, I moved the 70 track up by 2 to reach 72 because I'm trying to blend in with a track that's at 72. Now, a quick word about the crossfader, the horizontal fader. hopefully, let me see. How am I going to do this? You can see it. So generally, this could be set to fade. There are parameters down here. I can set the contour control. So it's like if I set them all the way to the slow setting, this is going to be a much longer transition. So when I fade between two tracks, left to right or right to left, it's going to be slow. If you're scratching, and for me, you know, I come from wanting to be a battle DJ, but I was never that good. So I always set it to fast. That means this is basically just an on and off switch. So when people say turntables aren't a musical instrument, I'm like, why? They create sound. You can manipulate time and pitch, and you can manipulate volume pretty much to a pretty high degree. And then you throw in the modern mixers into the conversation, and they have effects and this and that. So it's a musical instrument. In the same way that you can palm mute a guitar, we're muting a sound. In the same way that you can use silence by playing a flute by not expelling air through it, we're closing the fader. We're cutting the sound off. And the reason is you can't hear what I'm doing right now until I open the fader. That means if I'm at a club, I can do this all day and no one hears me. I can mess up all the time as long as I don't have the fader open. And by open, think of it as you're sending it to the master channel. Right now, I'm not sending it to the master channel. I can hear it in my headphones, but no one else can hear it. So with scratching, and I'm not going to teach you how to scratch because I'm not good enough, but I'll show you what I'm talking about with using the on and off switch. So it's the difference between, right, that was open. It's different. You use that silence to create a lot of different sounds, a lot of different variations. So instead of, you get a different sound. Instead of, sometimes you want it cleaner, and you're using that fader. You're using the silence as part of the sound. I'm gonna check the chat and see if there's anything that I've missed and any questions that need to be answered. Oh, here's a good question. Is the stream recorded? Can't watch right now. It is absolutely recorded. Yes. Can you get it centered easily? Alice, can you explain what you mean? How far can the gap of BPMs be before it sounds too crazy? That's a good question. So in the software that I'm using, right, as you can see, or you can't see, there's a mode, right? And it's pitch lock mode. So traditionally, when you would slow something down on a turntable, you'd slow the pitch down. And so it could sound crazy. With this new digital thing, and you can buy plugins that make time stretching better. It's like Ableton, for example. Ableton has this great time stretch algorithm native to the DAW. Serato has one. It's not great, but it's pretty good. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna play this, and then I'm gonna mess with the fader, and we're gonna hear how crazy it can sound. So it doesn't sound terrible, and you can pitch it and change it a lot. There's also, DJs are gonna hate me for saying this, but it's there. It's a feature. There's also a sync button. So I'm not gonna play City Girls, but there's a sync option. So if I want to sync these two tracks, if I want to sync Act Up to my beat,
it's going to drop it from 97 down to 72. That's going to sound crazy. If I want to sync my 72 up to the City Girls, it's actually going to, oh, look, it's smart. It does it halftime. Let's just hear how that sounds. Not great. It would sound crazy in a club, and then you have to transition back up to 97. That's going to be a pain in the ass. So I wouldn't recommend doing something like that, but your question was how far can it go, and it can go pretty far. Yeah, you can do all types of stuff. The turntable was the first sampler. Yeah, a lot of people are still doing that. When am I going to offer scratching as a service? Like 3 years ago. It's there. Yeah. Oh, now I got all the DJs advertising their services. Yes. Cool. Horizontal fader, crossfader, whatever you want to call it. I could. Is there anything else you want to know about DJing here? Nice. Yeah, I kind of am covering a lot, so I appreciate everybody's willingness to show up and try something new here. Do I have more in-depth DJ tutorials? This is the first DJ tutorial I've ever done in my life, so hopefully it does make sense. They need to hate Rain for making the program that has a sync button. Thank you. Oh yeah, I have a new drum kit out. Appreciate it. Thank you for mentioning that. Bufo on this damn casting couch. Bufo just really wants to see me have sex on this couch. Can you teach us about chops and scratches? Yeah. So again, I'm not qualified at all to be teaching this stuff. But since Seymour asked, and he is a friend of the YouTube channel, let's get into it. So it's I don't have a plan for this, but the whole scratching thing, again, it goes back to the basics of music. So note values. That's another reason why I would say the turntable is a legitimate musical instrument. You know, it's the same as anything else. We're just playing along with music, with the same kinds of time signatures and note values as everything else. So I can start slow. I'll just use my beat so I don't get the copyright strike. My recommendation would be this: practice slowly if you want to get into scratching, and really focus on note value. So if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, start with quarter notes. 1, or this would be eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and just kind of learn how to either scratch without the fader. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to get even motions. So as far as you go forward is as far as you're going to go back. You want to start, see that point? The transient. This is right where the sound starts. If you go too far back, you're not ready. If you go too far forward, you're in the middle of the sound. But if you practice just mentally being aware of the distance from the point of origin here, I'm going to call this the point of origin because the DJ out here named DJ New Sense, I believe, was using that term. This is where we're starting. We're starting it in the sound, but we're also starting it on the physical platter here. So point of origin, we want to reach the point of origin again, no matter what we do. Right. And then it goes back to using the fader, but I would say first of all, really, and I wish I had done this when I first started learning how to scratch. I would just get in there. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to be cool, like the people I saw in the Scribble Jam videos. But I would say practice note values. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 3 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so I could practice. I just did quarter, eighth, 16th, and 32nd notes. And you can do triplets too. Or you can create any kind of rhythm you want. But all of it goes back to music theory. All of it. Everything we do is governed by music theory. Now, obviously, you throw the fader in the mix and you're doing different shit. It's not just, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1. Because the fader, the crossfader is changing our rhythm. It's changing the rhythm of our sound. The cuts are changing the rhythm of our sound. And then if you getting into advanced stuff like flares. Okay, so the basic use of the crossfader is called a what is it called? Where are the DJs? What is it called? What is this called? Transforming. Just transform. It's like a real basic cut. You're just kind of using, these two fingers and I'm a little out of practice. Then you can get into other stuff like crab, where you're using 3 fingers. Flaring or chirping. Learn chirping before learning any of the other stuff. Chirping is you're starting, which is weird. This took me some time to learn. You're starting with the fader open for some reason, because you're getting that first sound, and then you're cutting it off abruptly and going back to the point of origin. And it sounds easy, but listen to that. There's a tail to it. With the chirp, it's really clean. Way cleaner than, that's a little sloppy sounding. Then the next move, the next kind of scratch that starts with the fader open as well is a flare. This is the part that DJs are really going to be upset with me for, because I'm not qualified to explain this stuff, but here I am. Flare, you're cutting. It just, the flare is complicated to me, because then they're like, there's a 2-click flare, you can crab flare. And it's cool because you're getting, it's what DJs call these clicks. Those points of silence created by the crossfader. So there are 4. You're using 3 fingers, but because you're starting open, you're getting an extra click. That's as advanced as I'm willing to go. I'm sorry. It makes me nervous talking too much about this stuff. Well, hey, G Life, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. As far, Scratch. I love the old hip hop movies like Style Wars and Breaking and Wild Style and all that. I love that shit. So, am I a DJ? You are. I am a DJ of hip hop. I'd say the answer to that is yes. What's the weirdest request I've gotten on during a no request? Okay, the weirdest request I got was Convoy. That's a weird song, but I don't look at any requests as weird because I'm there to make people happy and party. So it's like all the rants I go on about producing and like customer service and all that. We tend to get annoyed by people coming up and giving requests, but it's like they're there, they paid their money. The reason they're there is for us to provide a party space for them. Some DJs. Have you seen the video where it's like Calvin Harris is playing Calvin Harris, and some woman comes up and says, "Can you play something original?"
I get stuff like that. I'm not Kelvin Harris. I'm not playing my own music generally when I DJ. So the worst thing, two worst things you can do to a DJ is one, go up to them and hold out your phone and say, play this, because I'm not playing that shit off your phone, and it's rude. The other thing is, can you play something people like? Or like, can you play something people are going to dance to? Or ain't nobody dancing to this shit. And it's like, yeah, they are. Look around. But there are a lot of people out there that just kind of want the party to be their own personal Spotify playlist. So I'd say that's the weirdest. If someone requests a song that I've never heard, I'm going to try to get it. And if it doesn't fit the set, it doesn't fit the set. I'm not going to try to force it in. But yeah, like I learn about new music a lot from people just requesting songs I've never heard of, and then me going home and getting them and making sure that I have them for my next set and kind of practicing, incorporating them. How do I know what songs to pick for weddings? That's actually an amazing question. I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but that's an amazing question, because weddings are the hardest thing to DJ ever. Why? Because you have so many people competing for the center of attention: the bride, the groom, and the in-laws, and then the guests. Who are you prioritizing? Especially when the dance music starts. You have little ass kids running around. They might want to hear what do they might want to hear astronaut in the ocean, and the old folks might want to hear, depending on who the people are, they might want to hear Allman Brothers, or they might want to hear Zapp and Roger. They might want to hear stepping music. They might want to hear Montel Jordan. And then there are the people that are one generation below the in-laws, and they might want to hear Cardi B. So what do? That's the challenge. And it's fun. It's scary, but it's fun. Like you get cussed out at these damn weddings. Weddings are tough. Don't let anyone tell you that wedding DJs have it easy. I had so many DJ rectangle mixtapes back in the day. Yeah. Don't be intimidated by the Serato software. It's actually really easy. And what you're gonna find too is, as you explore all the DJ softwares out there, Virtual DJ, for example, I think people maybe believe that to be a less complicated interface, but it looks the same. If you Google the two, they look damn near identical. And you can switch the view in Serato too. The thing about Serato is that it has so many integrations. It's basically pretty much every product nowadays, every DJ product, mixer, turntable, whatever, is a MIDI controller. It's no longer analog. It's just a MIDI controller. That's why I'll show you what I mean. There are effects. I have an older mixer. I like it. It's no longer supported. It's discontinued. And that makes me sad, among other things. But for example, if I'm scratching, right, I can throw on delay. I can throw on flanger. I can throw on reverb. So there's a lot you can do. You can also create these cue points and kind of turn your turn your mixer into a sampler. I'll show you what I mean. It's kind of dumb, but you can connect a MIDI controller too. If you connect a MIDI controller to your laptop, you can do this with pads. You can have a MPC style pad. So like here, hi-hat, clap. Let's see. Oh, I have it at this crazy tempo. Hold on. That extra, I had two pairs of headphones on.
So these hi-hats sound terrible, but I don't know. I need a cleaner beat to do that. But basically, you have these cue points. Oh, Soldier Boy. Now it's glitching. But yeah, you can do a ton of stuff with these modern day mixers. The Pioneer mixers integrate well with the program too. There's just a lot. I mean, again, this is why I liken it to a DAW, because modern day DAWs have endless possibilities, and modern day DJ programs have equally endless possibilities. I would say that. Tell us a story about. Oh God, that was frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. Back when I was managed by Brendan, and T Minus was also managed by him, they sent me this ludicrous record that T had just produced, and it was going to be, you know, this huge single. And I listened to it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It sampled Chuck D. It was called How Low. And I went and played at this club. And I loved playing at this club because everyone loved to dance there. So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna fuck everybody up by playing this new ludicrous record. It's ludicrous. You know, this was Ludacris' last huge single, maybe one of his biggest singles, and it was off Battle of the Sexes, I think. So it wasn't like his first, second, third album. He was well into his career, and I dropped it, and everybody just walked off the dance floor. And what that taught me, and a month later, I go back to the same spot, and everyone's requesting that song. What it taught me was that, unfortunately, at this point, just with technology, people, you know, how radio programming works, how Spotify works, how YouTube works, people really want familiarity. My solution to that, I just like playing 90s R&B and hip hop because everybody likes that, and that's familiar and it's fun. So that was kind of disappointing, but it also just reaffirmed what I said earlier. Like you really, if you're just a DJ DJing at a club, you're likely, and I don't mean like a strip club, that's a totally different culture, and I don't mean like you're a Kelvin Harris, that's also different. If you're just a DJ DJing at a club, you do have to be mindful of that familiarity factor. Yeah, I'm shocked too. I was sad. I was excited to play something new. What should be the first piece of gear to buy, or just the first step to becoming a DJ? First step is obviously watching this live stream. As far as gear goes, I'd say the second step would be, do you have a Guitar Center or a DJ store? Hopefully there's like a local DJ store in your area. Go there and just ask, you know, hey, can I try some stuff out? If there's not a local spot, go to the Guitar Center and try that out. Just try different stuff out and see what feels right, because there are different kinds of controllers. There are, I went with the Rain 12s. Do I recommend them? Well, they're discontinued, so no. Rain does have a new system out that's integrated. It has the turntables and the mixer all built into one control surface. I don't know how much it costs, but it's probably more than you want to spend at the beginning. But it has a high resale value too, so I guess it could go either way. If you have like an extra, I don't know how much it costs, $1,500 lying around. Maybe you fall in love with it at the Guitar Center at the local DJ shop. But yeah, I would say the first step is just seeing what feels right, because those platters are smaller than these, but not by much, and they still have the feel of vinyl. Other platters, and there are a lot of other systems, like there's the Hercules Jog Vision, and that's cheap. You could probably find that on eBay for under $200, and it's the full system. You can start DJing with that right out of the box. It has the effects, everything. It works with Serato, same as what I just showed you. And there are a whole bunch of other affordable DJ controllers. Just try them out. They feel very different. I had the Jog Vision. It felt very different from vinyl,
because the platters were smaller. A lot of them don't spin. Some of them do, but some of them don't. And you might not want it to spin. I do, because I learned on a turntable and those things were spinning because they were analog. They had the motors in them. So yeah, I would say try all that stuff out and just see what you're comfortable with. Yeah, the iPod mixes, I forgot about those. Yeah. Oh, $1,200 used. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting used gear. Yeah, G Life, that's an absolute fact. I actually never used Newmark gear. I was pretty much a Rain addict. I still am, but I don't like where their company has gone. Yeah, Bufo's speaking to my cell right now. Every time I want new DJ gear, I check Marketplace, I check Craigslist, I check eBay. eBay is probably the safest. I'll be damned. You can find that stuff at thrift stores. You'd be surprised what people will sell. So if you're interested in getting into DJing, look around and try stuff out. There's nothing wrong with trying out, a cheaper control surface. Don't let people tell you, no, that's cheap, don't get it. It can be cheap, but it can feel right to you. And if it works, and if the reviews say, well, it's cheap, but it'll last, get it and rock it. Don't be ashamed. Anyway, I'm way beyond schedule. Well, not way beyond schedule. I'm beyond schedule by a minute. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. This was very different. I know this doesn't appeal to everybody because not every producer wants to be a DJ. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in. And twin, it's so weird to see two of me. Appreciate all of you tuning in. And matter of fact, let me just get rid of, there we go. Appreciate you tuning in, hanging out with me for an hour. Yeah, and thank you for being here. Cool. I'll be back same time, same place next week, Thursday, right here on BeatStars.live with the MEC. And also this will also, yeah. I'm DJ Payne 2. This guy over here is DJ Payne 1. I don't know what the hell I was gonna say. My new drum kit is out. It's everywhere. Check my Twitter, Instagram. And I'll be back next week for more fun. It'll back to regularly scheduled producer content, the more traditional producer content. But this will be archived. It's available on BeatStars YouTube. It's available on BeatStars Twitch, and it's going to be available on my channel, on my YouTube channel, a couple weeks out. 2 to 3 weeks out. I stagger it so it's BeatStars exclusive for a while, but it will all be there. So if you came in later, don't worry, you can watch the whole thing. This is actually a good question. Do I miss the sound of vinyl compared to the new digital era? No, I don't, because needles were expensive and they skipped a lot, and if they were old, they could actually hurt your vinyl. So that was a big expense that I'm not all that concerned about losing. So when the digital era came along, I still have my traditional turntables, but having a turntable like these that are not analog and don't come with needles, it's really nice, because needles cost like $200 plus each to replace nowadays. And I don't think the sound is really that different at all, especially when you're scratching it. You can't tell the difference. And a lot of people have recordings of, a lot of DJs are just recording the vinyl versions of the songs that they used to play off record onto their computers, converting it to WAV or FLAC or whatever, MP3 if you're a little crazy, and they're loading them up, and it's, the people at the party can't tell the difference, honestly. Music is too damn loud anyway. You can always go back, you can always switch. You can always run a turntable into your mixer. These modern day mixers have the options for multiple inputs, so you could run two digital turntables and an analog. So yeah, you can do all that stuff. Cool. Now I've overstayed my welcome. See you next week, Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BeatStars. Shout out to all of you.
Peace. Have a great weekend.